This is so going on YouTube.
Hello and welcome back to Behind the Booth. My name is Terry Mayo, and I'm here to talk about comic books and the awesome people that create them. I'm excited to have the one and only Madeleine Holly Rosen join me today to talk about her book, Boston Metaphysical Society, The Book of Demons. It is live right now on Kickstarter, and believe me when I tell you, it is an amazing series created by an amazing person, and I cannot recommend enough that you go check this book out. Before Madeleine jumps in to talk to us, let's take a look at Boston Metaphysical Society, The Book of Demons. And there we are. Hi.
Yay, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So, those who may have never heard of you, have been living under a rock or something, could you give us just a little bit of feedback? Your name is Madeleine, obviously,
Yes.
and you have a series of books
Correct.
called the Boston Metaphysical Society.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about those books?
Sure. The Boston Metaphysical Society is a steampunk supernatural graphic novel and prose series. We started with a 6-issue miniseries. Emily Hugh was the artist, and have now branched out into sequels. We have 3 sequels. The 4th is on Kickstarter right now. But for those of you who are brand new to all of this, the basic premise, the story is about an ex-Pinkerton detective, a spirit photographer, and a genius scientist who battles supernatural forces in late 1800s Boston. So in the sequels, we do have a new artist on board, Gwen Tavares. She was an amazing segue from Emily, who moved on to bigger and better after the first 6-issue miniseries. So yay for her.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a prose prequel to the graphic novel series called A Storm of Secrets, and an anthology of short stories and novellas in a book called Prelude that those stories range anywhere from 5 to 35 years before the start of the original graphic novel.
Right. And you said that the setting is Boston 1890s.
Correct. Yes. In the graphic novels, we actually begin in 1895. We're definitely moving into 1896, 97-ish now with the 4th sequel. And in the original graphic novel, original 6-issue miniseries, Bell, Edison, Tesla, and Houdini were an integral part of the storyline. In the first sequel, it featured, it's a standalone called Scourge of the Mechanical Men. It featured Granville T. Woods and Tesla. For those of you who don't know Granville, he's actually an historical figure as well as Tesla, African-American scientist who lived in the same time period. No actual evidence that he and Tesla really met in life, but he definitely did know Edison and Bell. As well. Well, I have fun stories about Granville. He's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
But
And that's the cool thing. That's what because I don't know if you knew this or not, but I am a big fan, and so I was
oh,
excited.
thank you.
I'm excited that you were coming on, and it was the alternate history and the steampunk and all of that supernatural that kind of drew me in. But especially the alternate history and getting to play around with characters that maybe they met, maybe they didn't, but boom, they meet in your book. So that's
yeah. I mean, I'm the writer, so I can go do that. You know, I can move people around like that.
That's right.
But it was actually pretty exciting to early on when I was first developing this story to find Granville and how he'd gotten lost in American history, which was a shame. But no, it's been a lot of fun writing this series. I know a number of people refer to it as more steampunky than steampunk. It is more alternate history with steampunk elements in it, just because I don't focus on the gadgets. Of course, we do have some cool gadgets, because that's what makes it fun.
Right.
But yeah, it's just an integral part of their world. You know, none of the gadgets drive the story.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it really is a slice of like Americana, and I'm sure that there's a fan base for that, and it's what it almost attaches you, even from the first book that I read, which, gosh, I date myself, but it's been about 4 years.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it'll be a while. It's fair.
But yeah, that's what drew me to it. Was like the alternate history and the Americana that just kind of blends together. So yeah, bravo to you. Awesome book, awesome series.
Thank you. Lots of research.
Now you can tell too. I mean, it comes out in the writing. But you're here today. You have a Kickstarter going right now.
Correct.
Got about 25 days left, give or take. You've already broken the 12K mark. You're like over 400 backers, so you're doing really, really well.
Yes.
And that just shows the fan base you have and the craft that you're doing. So that's awesome. But,
yeah, I'm thankful to those Kickstarter backers, because without them, we wouldn't have been able to move forward. It just wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah.
So I can keep cranking this out as long as we have Kickstarter backers.
As long as you're buying it, I'll keep making it. That kind of thing.
That's pretty much, yeah.
So you've done about 8 or 9 Kickstarters?
Yes, this will be number 9.
Okay.
And a full disclosure to everyone, I failed big time on my first one, just like a lot of other people do, and learned a lot. You know, we learned a lot on that, and we were able to. And when I talk about I'm talking about my husband, because even though he's not an active participant in the Kickstarter and the marketing and all that stuff, he's got to listen to me and deal with me during all of this. So yeah, it's a we.
Yeah.
So yeah, he knows how to prep for this now after, number 9. Just hides in his office.
Now my wife would agree with your husband, I think, because it does become an overwhelming presence in your life for that 30 days or however long.
Yeah. But back to the topic. We realized that we needed to re-strategize, and the very first Kickstarter we did, we had gotten 3 issues completed for the 6-issue miniseries and figured, okay, let's just finish it up. Let's do the whole trade. And so we had a big goal, which was reasonable for art and production, but no one knew us. And I was so new, I didn't really understand the nuances of Kickstarter at the time. So we did well enough to know that we could make enough to do single issues. And so that's what we did. We just broke it down into smaller parts, and then eventually went to trade, and then started doing the one-shots with the sequels. And that strategy worked out very well.
Right.
And then, of course, in the middle of this, we got picked up by Source Point Press. So, I mean, that obviously helped as well. Bring in a larger fan base.
Yeah, no, I saw that, and that those guys over at Source Point are all amazing people. So congratulations on that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Really cool. So beyond this Kickstarter, I know that this one it could be a standalone, but it's also kind of a sequel to the previous book, right?
To the previous one, Ghosts and Demons. I kind of call it a duology, for lack of a better term, because it does kind of finish off that arc. but it also ends this kind of 4-issue. I wouldn't even. It's an arc, but it kind of leads off to, we brought in a new character of Alma, our female African American scientist who doesn't have quite the training that Granville does, but has learned a lot on her own and works with Caitlin. She and Caitlin now work to help unionize the labor force. This is the universe of Boston Metaphysical is highly structured, and there's a huge gap between the haves and have-nots.
Right.
So they're working with the have-nots to kind of bridge that gap, and obviously you have conflict from that. Plus Caitlin's growing psychic powers. And so you do get little bits of seeing the scientific method within, particularly this one with Alma is working with her in trying to figure out how far her telekinetic abilities have grown. So yeah, I do little smidgens of, okay, this is the scientific method here, but then we have like, oh, action sequence, something bad happens.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun to bring magic, and I wouldn't even call it magic, science and the paranormal together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really don't have magic in this series.
Right. Well, I was going to ask because from the first book I read, it's got the supernatural, it's got the mystery, and it's got that noir feel, that steampunk feel, or steampunky as you call it.
Yeah.
In your own words, how would is the underlying theme, like the roots of the story? Is there anything there that you want to go into, or?
Well, the roots of the story have always been that you can bring a group of very diverse individuals together, and they each have their own strengths and weaknesses, but they're stronger together than they are apart. And that's what the original trilogy of Caitlin, Granville, and Samuel were, because they came from very different backgrounds, but they each brought something to the table. And by working together, they were able to defeat a greater threat within the first 6 issues. And now the relationships have changed a bit since then. They've all grown, and their abilities have changed. And, Alma, bringing her in has put in a different dynamic. But yeah, that's always been the focus of the story, is that you can bring a diverse group of people together. If they're willing to work together, they can achieve quite a bit.
Yeah. No. It is a character piece, and it is kind of like a what is it called? Like set in a specific time period, but it is those characters that kind of drive the story, at least for me. And that's really cool. It keeps you coming back. Definitely, obviously, because like I said, you're over 400 backers already. But segueing over to the Kickstarter again. So
yes.
Like we said, you have the 25 days still left to go.
Yes.
And you're doing really well. One thing that caught my eye, because now that Kickstarter has grown more in the last couple of years, and I would say, well, it's maybe doubled since the whole pandemic, maybe.
Yeah.
But
it's done really well.
It's a viable option.
Absolutely.
But the one thing that is a staple are the stretch goals, and one of the stretch goals that caught my eye was the lapel pin, the Plague Doctor lapel pin.
Oh yeah.
Has that been unlocked yet, or we still need more backers?
Oh yeah, that actually that is one of it's in 2 reward tiers. It's not a stretch goal. It's actually a reward tier, so you can get the Plague Doctor pin and the book. It's pretty. I think it's like $25 for the book and the pin. It includes postage for US, and or you can get the whole set of pins. I have a set of 7 right now, for as long as those quantities last.
Yeah.
And so so that's available right now to anybody. I think we just went over our 4th or 5th stretch goal. I mean, I'm running around going like, I need more stretch goals.
start just pulling from
Oh my
drawers.
god! Oh my god! So yeah, no, I still have a few more planned. I always come prepared for all of this. You must know that by now. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo.
Is there one stretch goal that you're more excited about than the other, or is one that's kind of like, oh, I'm excited for this one to drop?
Well, actually, it's the one we just made, which is a brand new stretch goal that we've done, and that's Boston Metaphysical magnets. You know, they're 3-inch round ones. One is from our original owl pin, which we don't produce anymore. So if you have that one, you have a keeper, because we aren't doing that one. If you got that one, it's very special. It's the first one we ever did. And then we have another magnet of the image of the plague doctor. So yeah, we just got that, and literally yesterday, I think late yesterday, we made that one. And another one I like is because people really love the cover of this particular issue. We will have it available as wallpaper for your phone or your laptop or something. So that's I think the stretch goal after the one we have right now.
Very cool.
So stuff is coming.
Yeah, no, excited to back this as soon as we hang up our little virtual phone call. I was like, because I don't know what it is. It's like my routine, but as soon as it's over, I go and I back. But,
well, it's a fun thing about the pins in that I've gotten this habit now. Every year I have like this little contest on Facebook. Say like, okay, I need new pin ideas, and if whoever I pick and it gets produced, you get one. I'll mail it to you. And so a young lady said like plague doctor, and I'm like, oh, duh.
It makes just too much sense.
It just makes too much sense. So I said, okay, you win. So yeah, she's already gotten hers. I mailed that a few weeks ago. But that's just a fun thing I like to do, and it gets people involved, and it happens. So yeah. It turned out, I have to tell you, the picture of the plague doctor pin that you see on the Kickstarter page doesn't do it justice. It actually looks better in real life. I was so happy with it does. I was so happy with the way it turned out. And Alejandro Lee designed the pin. He's fabulous. He did the coloring book for me last year. So, I have to give him a shout out. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. That's the fun part of doing this, right? Is seeing all this art come in and your world explode through someone else's eyes. It's really fun. But all right, so you full disclosured yourself that the first campaign didn't go the way you planned.
Correct.
But that you learned a lot from it. So a lot of the people that watch this show, they're getting into Kickstarter. They're maybe rolling one out for the first time. So do you have some tidbits of knowledge you want to share on like running a successful campaign?
Definitely have an email list of potential backers that I would say you are 99.9% sure that they will back your project up to at least 35% of your funding goal. Because if you get up to 35% in your first couple days, you've got some traction. And then you can build on that through podcasts and interviews and through Kickstarter itself, and through social media posts and things like that. I will do social media posts, and I will tag no more than 5 people, and I try not to do it more than once because I know how annoying that can be. So I choose my tags very carefully, and then I don't bother them again. You just like it. All you need, just like it, and then go on. It's fine. But yeah, I would really have that email list. And the other thing is, I would say go buy my book. I have a book called Kickstarter for the Independent Creator. It's on Amazon and all ebook platforms. It's what I call a field guide to running a Kickstarter, and it is up to date. It's a second edition with the green cover. Don't get the other one because I actually update the one with the green cover every year after my Kickstarter because there's always going to be changes. Things evolve all the time, and you just have to keep up with that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. Well, have you found that the conventions, obviously, in some parts of the country, they're still going on, but for the most part, at least out here in California, they're shut down.
Yes.
Have you found that that's been a hindrance, not really played into it at all with the Kickstarter?
No, it hasn't. I think people, comics lovers and Kickstarter backers know that we have been hit really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had no outside income, other than I've, got a small business grant and, some things that help us along. But cons are a good portion of the income for the business, and that just got wiped out.
Yeah.
So, you do the best you can, and I think people know that, and I think that's why, like, oh, here's somebody new. I haven't been on Kickstarter for over a year, so I haven't overused my welcome, so to speak, and people know that I deliver, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
And Charlie Stickney over at White Ash, he did a Twitter post, and it kind of struck me because he said, go support one of the longest running comics on Kickstarter, and I went like, oh my God, he's right. I never thought about it before. And he said, we have been one of the longest running series on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it just, wow. It just never occurred to me. It's like, okay, I'll just keep cranking it out.
There you go. Yeah, leave it to Charlie to say the obvious. He's an awesome
the
guy.
obvious. I just, never. Yeah, like, yeah, you're right, Charlie.
Yeah. Gotta love Charlie. I love Charlie.
I know. It's like, he's like, now I feel old.
Well, no. You're experiencing the ways of Kickstarter in the comic world, so that's
I
that goes
know.
a long way.
No, he's a great guy, but it was like, what?
So what's coming up next? I'm assuming there's going to be continuing adventures.
Yes. Actually, during all of this, I wrote an 8-episode audio drama. The first Boston Metaphysical audio drama called The Ghost Ship. It will be on Kickstarter in the fall. We are finishing up the first round of casting. We're going to next weekend. We have callbacks for the leads, and I'll announce this through Kickstarter as well. And then after we've chosen them, and then we'll be sending casting notices out for supporting characters. So I hope to have all the characters cast, by early May. Mm-hmm. And then we can start recording. I have a sound engineer on board, a script editor, Eddie Louise and Chip Michael. They produced, directed, and wrote Stage and Savant for 6 years. So I have a very knowledgeable team behind me. Mm-hmm. And we got some great actors. Yeah. Oh my God, they're so good. It's going to be so hard to choose.
Did you put a post out on Facebook or something? I wondered.
Yeah,
I thought I saw that.
Yeah. No, I did. We actually had some backers who applied as well, which is great. And one gentleman who I selected for a minor role because I heard his voice and he wasn't appropriate for one of the leads, but I'm going like, you'd be perfect as this guy. And apparently, I guess his mother was a fan and told him to go audition.
That is so awesome.
And then he gets this little role, but I mean, he freaking nailed it. So I was like, yeah, you got it, dude.
You got a lot of people coming up with their best voice now. Just like, well, hello, Madeleine. It's so nice to see you again. Okay, we got it. We're fully casted.
Yeah. But no, we're very excited about that. It's a fun story. It's set during the time period of the original 6-issue miniseries, so it's just Granville, Caitlin, and Samuel. And the reason for that was actually budgetary.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to keep and it's a full cast. So, I mean, we're casting everybody. Everyone's getting paid. You know, non-union. Sorry.
Yeah, who knows?
But you know, if we do well in the Kickstarter, I fully intend some of the stretch goals to be bonuses for the actors. That has always been my intention.
Yeah.
But we'll see when we get there, one step at a time. Yeah.
Well, like I said before, this has been awesome. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
The name of the show is Behind the Booth. It's called that because started it when the convention started shutting down. So this is my chance to kind of talk to people that I don't get to see. So I've enjoyed this very much. But if you can indulge me, if you were behind your booth at a convention, someone came up and asked you, what is the Book of Demons about? Are you able to give us your best 15-second spiel?
On an early Sunday morning.
Put you on the spot.
Put you on the spot. Yes, it's a standalone continuation of Ghosts and Demons about how a great house discovers that Caitlin can find and enslave demons, so they kidnap her to find one.
Sold. Just like that. And I'll take a lapel pin. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate having me on.
I'm Terry Mayo, and you've been watching Behind the Booth. You know, there's a ton of things you could have been watching, but you watched us instead. Thank you, and we will not hold that against you. If you like what you saw, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. If there's something you want us to talk about, leave us a comment down below. Until then, stay wicked, y'all.